Good morning, everyone. My name is Roman Miller, and today is Friday, January 30th, and this is going to be your updated winter weather briefing. So right now, I'll go ahead and actually start with the radar. And this is what we're looking at the moment. We do have some snow moving into portions of southwestern Virginia this morning. You can see over there towards Blacksburg, visibility is around 1 to 2 miles. So again, that snow has begun to move into the southwestern portions of the state of Virginia. And then zooming out a little bit more, let me show this. Here's your precipitation shield as of 11 a.m. So you can see that precipitation falling as snow across portions of southwestern Virginia. And then it does extend west out towards the Kentucky region, out over even towards the Mississippi. But in general, this is going to be our first band of snow, and it's expected to move east through the day very slowly, and then kind of set up and then maybe pivot down to the south as an upper level low swings on down into the southeastern states. But for now, our area is pretty dry at the moment, and we do have temperatures as of 11 a.m. Looking like mainly the low to mid 20s for most of the region here. Again, a very chilly day, but that has been the story for the past week. So looking ahead, we do expect some of those snow showers, that light snow, to move east through the rest of the day. So we do have a chance for those snow showers and light snow later today, kind of increasing into tonight. But we don't really think there's going to be very much in terms of accumulation with that. It looks like it's going to be pretty light and fluffy, and again, not very much moisture with that first round. And then it looks like snow continues to overspread the area on Saturday, and you start to slowly ramp up your snow rates, potentially, especially further south along the North Carolina Virginia border. And then the heaviest snow looks to fall late Saturday afternoon into Saturday night and early Sunday morning across portions of southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina as you get this area of low pressure to deepen rapidly off the southeast coast. And that's when you're going to see your strongest winds, as well as your coldest wind chills Saturday night. And then coastal flooding on top of that. And then as we head into Sunday, everything should taper off from west to east pretty quickly through the morning. So going ahead, here's what the weather map could look like. This is from the WPC, or Weather Prediction Center. And you can see there low pressure has not really got its act together at the current moment, but it is expected to develop by Saturday off the southeast coast. You can see that snow shield is now expanded. And then by Sunday morning, this is going to be around 7 a.m. in the image there, you have a much lower pressure, in this case depicted as around 980 millibars. And that is looking like it's going to be offshore. So at that point, the snow is likely tapered off further inland, and we're still looking at some snow along the coast as well as some pretty strong winds. But that system continues to move offshore. It looks like it's going to move out to sea, and so we should see that snow tapering off by mid to late morning on Sunday, even along the coast, with dry weather returning for Monday and Tuesday, as well as a little bit of a warm-up. Right now, here's a look at our current watches and warnings. Right now, we do still have a winter storm watch in effect for interior portions of the area where our confidence is a little bit lower for exactly how much snow they get. And then we've gone ahead and upgraded to winter storm warnings to southeastern portions of the forecast area where confidence is a bit higher in reaching warning criteria snowfall. And I will also note that along the coast especially, we're looking at Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and then eastern portions of North Carolina. We could be looking at the potential for some blizzard conditions developing by late Saturday through Saturday night into early Sunday. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. It is possible that we upgrade to blizzard warnings for a portion of the area later today, but that will be determined by the forecasters out in the operations floor right now and what they see with the model guidance this afternoon. So regarding the snow today, there's a low to moderate chance for a little bit of measurable snowfall. So what that's really looking at is kind of your coating of snow on the roads. Given that we do have temperatures well below freezing today, anything that falls will likely accumulate even on the roads. again, it's looking like a very powdery, dry snow. And the best chance is going to be across portions of the southern Piedmont. Again, you already saw that's reached the Blacksburg area of southwestern Virginia. So we do expect that to push east, but model guidance has not been doing a very good job so far of depicting how that precipitation is going to continue. A lot of the models are showing that it's going to dissipate and not really amount to much for much of our region today. But looking at what the current radar shows, I'm not so sure that that's the case. It looks like, based on, again, on some of the latest model runs, we're already seeing snow where the models were showing that we're not supposed to be seeing snow right now. So there's a bit of uncertainty here today with how large this area is that can see a light dusting of snow, or a little bit more even, and exactly how much we get. So again, I'm not very confident with the models of what exactly is going to happen, but I think this area is probably looking like a good bet given where we currently see that snow and how it's expected to move east throughout the day. So just keep that in mind. There could be a quick dusting to maybe half an inch or even more out further southwestern portions of the area by tonight. And that's kind of that initial round. Not completely separate from the main storm, but kind of a precursor. And looking at the expected onset time, again, the models overnight were showing that it wasn't supposed to really get into portions of southwestern Virginia until later this afternoon. That, again, is trending a little bit earlier. So that, based on those models, we have tonight into early Saturday morning for the start time for the Piedmont. That, again, might be a bit earlier. And then eastern portions of the area, Saturday morning, early afternoon. It does look like it'll probably hold off until a little bit later there across southeastern portions of the area. And then when the snow is expected to come to an end, it looks like probably sometime Saturday night for west of 95, and then Sunday morning east of 95. And before I get into this, I'm going to quickly show, this is going to be the National Blend of Models, kind of an idea of what the precipitation could look like. Again, this is not going to be perfect, but it gives you a general idea as far as timing. So here is around 5 p.m. The models are showing some light snow moving into southern portions of the area. And then I'll go forward to 10 p.m. and it has it over roughly the same area, maybe a little bit more expanded, potentially going towards Emporia. And then we'll go ahead and skip here till 7 a.m. And it's kind of potentially pivoting a little bit to the south and southwest. So places like the Richmond Metro and Newport News, and then of course the Hampton Roads region, we're not very confident right now about when the exact start time is going to be for this system, because some of the models show snow and a lot of them don't show snow, but based on what we're seeing on the radar, we're not exactly sure if the models are doing a good job with this very light snow. Sometimes models see that it's going to be so light that they don't think it's reaching the surface, but it ends up reaching the surface because our snow ratios are so high. But just keep that in mind. And then confidence does increase as we head into Saturday afternoon. Here's noon. South of 460, looks like some snow moving into the area. And now we're starting to get into that snow across Virginia Beach, potentially, and portions around northeastern North Carolina. And then we'll go ahead and skip to 5 p.m. on Saturday. And now that snow shield has potentially expanded. I will note that this is the highest region of uncertainty as far as how far to the north and to the northwest the snow shield will get. A lot of the model guidance seems to be struggling with exactly how far north and west that snow gets. And there probably will be a pretty sharp cutoff wherever it ends up panning out. But confidence is higher out towards the far southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. And then we'll skip ahead to 7 a.m. on Sunday. And now the snow is pretty much east of 95 and it's quickly tapering off. And then by around between 10 and 1, it looks like all that snow should be moving offshore. So that's kind of what we're expecting for our timeline. And as far as what we have in the forecast right now for our snow totals, right now we're expecting around 1 to 2 inches for the Richmond Metro, and then the highest totals down in far southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina, where you could see 6 to 10 inches of snow, maybe locally higher. And then we have highlighted here 2 different regions. The area highlighted in this white oval, that's going to be where our greatest uncertainty lies, with, again, a lot of models showing a very sharp cutoff Richmond, some models have basically no snow, and other models have a few inches. So that's a bit of a trickier situation, and a lot of the reason why we still have watches out, winter storm watches for that region, where we're not sure one way or another if it's going to be more towards advisory level, or maybe they end up with a little bit more. So hopefully we get a better idea later this afternoon, and we'll likely have to figure out with our watches whether they're going to become advisories or warnings and where those exactly end up. But further to the southeast, confidence is a bit higher, especially out there towards Norfolk and Elizabeth City. And again, in this area highlighted in red, that's where we could be seeing some possible blizzard conditions, with the strongest winds looking like they're going to be Saturday night into early Sunday morning. And you could see zero visibility or near zero visibility, as well as gusts up to 50 miles per hour or even higher. So here's your chance for 4 inches or more of snow. Again, the highest uncertainty, or greatest uncertainty rather, is going to be out towards central Virginia, where we have about a 20 to 30% chance for 4 inches of snow, and then higher confidence in the southeast, where you have 60 to 80% chance. And then looking on the left at 8 inches of snow, at this point, portions of central Virginia are quite low probabilities, only around 10% or less. And then out towards the far southeastern portions of the area, Norfolk, Elizabeth City, we're still looking at a 30 to 50% chance for 8 inches or more of snow. And then even still on the right-hand side of the screen, a 10 to 20% chance of around a foot of snow. So we are still monitoring the situation, and right now the greatest snowfall totals look to be around far southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. The closer to the coast, probably the more snow. As far as what our snow character is going to be, this event is different from the last one in that we're not expecting any sort of mixed precipitation. This should be all snow. And in fact, this one has so much cold air to work with in the entire column of the atmosphere that we're looking at a very dry snow, very powdery, which is good for power lines and trees. It doesn't look like that'll be much of an issue for you. Maybe you get a little bit lower ratios close to the coast initially, but even then, it still looks like a predominantly dry snow. And then I'll go ahead and skip forward to our wind gust. So winds will potentially be an issue. Right now, we are looking at wind gusts inland of 30 to 40 miles an hour, and that's probably going to be strongest Saturday night and early Sunday morning. And then along the coast, we are looking at the potential for 40 to 50 miles an hour away from the immediate coastline, and then along the immediate coast there, Virginia Beach and Currituck, we're looking at the potential for maybe up to 50 to 60 or more miles per hour for wind gusts. So we are continuing to monitor the situation, and we'll likely be making any decisions regarding any sort of potential wind headlines, or if we upgrade to blizzard warnings later on today. Again, we haven't made a final decision on that yet, based on some uncertainty with models and exactly where the heaviest snow falls and what our visibility is going to get down to. So just stay tuned for that. Now, looking at the timing, again, it looks like the heaviest snow is going to fall Saturday afternoon into Saturday night, especially along the coast. And that's going to be, especially along the coast, the nighttime period. Saturday night looks to be when your heaviest snow is going to fall. And then temperatures are going to be very cold throughout the entire event, well below freezing. So right now we do have cold weather advisories in effect for the entire area starting tonight and going into the early night hours of Saturday night, at which point it switches over to extreme cold watches, and that's going to be in effect from Saturday night into Sunday morning. And with these extreme cold watches, we could be looking at wind chills as low as -5 to -10 degrees across the entire forecast area. And that is quite cold for everybody. And even before that, and the reason why we have the cold weather advisories during the day on Saturday is because wind chills could remain below 10 degrees throughout the entire afternoon across much of the area, maybe 10 to 15 across the far southeastern portions of the area. But either way, very cold out there for this event. And then here's what we have for our current forecast for the lowest wind chills, or what it's going to feel like out there Saturday night. Again, around -5 to -10 degrees is possible for what it's going to feel like. Here's a look at the wind gusts on the left and your minimum wind chills on the right. And you can see they kind of coincide a bit here. So Kerala, for instance, it looks like we could be seeing the potential for wind gusts up to around 60 miles per hour by Saturday night. And then with that, you are seeing those wind chills down in the single digits along the immediate coastline or below zero potentially, which is why we have those extreme cold watches out. And again, the winds will start to ramp up on Saturday morning, but just continue to ramp up through the day with the strongest winds Saturday night into early Sunday. And then winds definitely taper off as we head into Monday, although they could remain a bit elevated along the coast in the lower Maryland and Virginia eastern shores. So here's a look at your regional forecast. We have high temperatures on the left, minimum temperatures in the middle, and then chance of precipitation on the right. So you can see we're going to be quite cold on Saturday, high temperatures in the 20s for most of the area, and then low temperatures, continuing to see what we've been seeing for the past week, teens and potentially single digits at times, into the middle of next week. And then it does look like the good news is we should be warming up a little bit. Still below normal for temperatures, but it does look like the area should get above freezing and potentially even into the 40s by Tuesday into the middle of next week. Regarding tidal flooding, so right now we are expecting the potential for coastal flooding around moderate to major flood stage there at the mouth of the bay, lower James River, and then the Virginia Beach and eastern Currituck counties. So right here, we do have major down there along the immediate coastline of the Atlantic where the winds will be strongest. And we do expect a decent bit of beach erosion and pretty strong waves, pretty tall waves coming up and crashing against the coast as well. And then further up into the bay, again, minor to moderate flooding for the most part, except for the mouth of the bay where you could see moderate to major. And because of this, we do have a coastal flood watch in effect for Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Northampton, and eastern Currituck counties. Another thing to note is because it's so cold, when the floodwaters do subside, that could lead to some ice on the roads. And here's a quick look at a few different forecast sites for our coastal flooding. Here we have Lynn Haven in the middle. We have them currently reaching major flood stage by the Sunday morning high tide. That looks to be the worst high tide is around Sunday morning. And then quickly dropping back off as we go into the Sunday evening high tide. And then here we have the lower James River. So over in Sewell's on the far right, we have them getting up right to around moderate, 5.5 feet. And then Smithfield around moderate as well. And then for the ocean, we do have Duck over here on the left. We have them reaching major flood stage, potentially even reaching at or above 7 feet. And then I'll skip that slide for now. Looking quickly at our marine, unlike the last event, we are going to have marine issues with this system, given that it's a very strong low pressure. And because of that, we do have storm watches out for the lower James River, the entire Chesapeake Bay, and the northern coastal waters, with storm warnings now in effect for the Virginia Beach offshore waters, as well as the Currituck Sound and the North Carolina coastal waters, where confidence is a little bit higher and the start time is a little bit earlier for when we get those storm conditions. And that's going to be, again, the strongest ones look to be late Saturday into Sunday. But regarding the storm and gale watches up in the upper rivers, all of those kind of starting Saturday afternoon or late Saturday and then continuing into Sunday night before they start to diminish and subside. And again, I mentioned the seas. We are looking at the potential for 10 to 15 foot seas, given the very strong winds and the strong coastal low. And here's your marine threat potential for today. We're at the elevated levels, but then by tomorrow we are over towards the extreme category as we are looking at the high-end gale to storm potential across the entire coastal waters. Here's your chance for wind gusts of greater than or equal to 25 knots. And you can see it even highlights some inland areas, showing those stronger winds pushing further inland. And then 39 miles an hour or 34 knots in the middle here. And you can see it's pretty high probabilities even along the coast and the immediate land coastline. And then once you're talking about 55 miles an hour, it's pretty much confined just to the immediate coastline and then over the open waters. And here's our current maximum wind gust forecast. And this is going to be in knots. So we do have the potential for 50 to 55 knot winds, maybe even a bit higher for a maximum wind gust across the North Carolina coastal waters. And with all this wind, we are going to likely see some freezing spray. So we do have, and I'll show it here in a minute, but we do have a freezing spray watch out as well. And then here's another marine forecast wind summary slide showing that the winds really ramp up late Saturday into that Saturday night period before gradually tapering off Sunday night into Monday, with, again, your strongest winds probably Saturday night into early Sunday morning. And then here's our maximum wave height graphic. We could see waves as high as above 7 feet in the Chesapeake Bay, and then 10 to 15 feet in the coastal waters. And we'll skip that one. And yes, here's our heavy freezing spray watch. And this watch is for the potential for moderate to heavy ice accretion on vessels from freezing spray, and that's due to those very strong winds out of the north and then turning into the north-northwest by the time you get into early Sunday, with gusts up to 50 to 55 knots over the Chesapeake Bay and Atlantic coastal waters. So we do have this in effect for the Chesapeake Bay, as well as the northern coastal waters for now. But we will have to continue to monitor the situation. But just keep that in mind for all of our marine partners out there, that we are looking at the potential for some heavy freezing spray, especially the further north you go.